The Brazilian economy is a bit unstable right now, and that's bad news for investors of companies in this country. Hey, I'm Andreas. I've been investing for over 10 years. In today's video, let's do a bit of a macro deep dive into the Brazilian economy to explain why stock performance is lackluster, to say the least. The Brazilian stock StoneCo that I hold has been one of the worst performers in my portfolio of 2024, with everything else taking off. Why is that? Why is the promise of the Brazilian economy always just a promise and they never really seem to deliver? Well, for once, when I was there, it was about 5 reais for a dollar. And now a year later it's about 6. So the currency is continuing to devalue. And if you sit in a cigar lounge in Brazil and you talk to some older gentlemen regarding companies, the economy, you will find that a lot of them talk about crypto. This can seem quite strange for somebody coming from Western Europe. That's not the cigar lounge talk that you usually hear. However, if you take into perspective that they've basically destroyed 5 currencies and that a lot of these people, they will remember currency failures, well, then it's not a big surprise that they look to crypto instead and that they perceive that as more stable than the government issued currency. So it's all about perspective and looking at it from the perspective of a Brazilian. So not a lot of trust in the currency. And why should they have? If we take a look at money supply here, we can see that there was a global event in 2020 where most of the world was in lockdown, and indeed there was some money printing, increasing the amount of money out there in the economy, basically printing more money from the central bank, going and increasing by about 25% in this case. Then it slowed down, and now they are basically printing money as if they once again were in lockdown. And this is something that we see in Latin American economies. For example, Argentina have a history of certain political persons saying that, oh, we do this and that, all these election promises, and then they just print money to fulfill them, and they have a lot of inflation, no surprise. Brazil also had very steep inflation here, especially in 2022 when they printed a lot of money. It has since come down a bit. However, inflation is still going strong here in Brazil, and they are still printing a lot of money, so it's not looking like it's gonna come down anytime soon. We see reporting on Brazilian companies in dollars here, so despite the very, very strong macroeconomic headwinds, we see that they're actually managing to increase both revenue and profits in an economy like this. However, here, since they printed a lot of money, stock price is down a lot. Very, very unstable sign, and investors hate uncertainty. You don't want to just put in a bunch of capital when there's risk that's outweighing potential rewards, and in this case investors are pulling back, and we see that stocks have suffered. For example, here StoneCo, they can't catch a break even with great numbers in quarterly earnings, even with price to earnings being extremely cheap and alluring. If this was a company operating in a Western market, it would be absolute steal. However, this is Latin America, and as I showed you in the macro stats, it's quite the unstable economy, and that's why we're seeing stock price perform like this. We see another darling here, Nubank, New Holdings is the parent company. They were listed quite recently, and it's one of those high-flying type of fintech stocks with a lot of promise. 5 big old banks in Brazil that don't have the best reputation with customers. They're not super popular because they're a bit difficult to deal with, and Nubank is gaining popularity. However, the stock is not performing very well, and even as an extreme case of a growth stock. We see price to earnings of 28. Remember Tesla, a high-flying growth stock in the West, they had a price to earning of 1500 at some point. So we can see that the market is clearly taking all this risk into perspective. Alright, I hope this really explained some of the macroeconomic headwinds that we're seeing in Brazil right now. They have a brand new monetary policy style here where they're printing money basically like it was the pandemic years, but without a pandemic. And investors are taking a hit here. The currency is taking a hit here. That's been it for this video. And as always, hope you guys make a ton of money, whatever investments you decide to make. Take care now. Bye bye.